What is up, guys? Let's go ahead and talk about buying a smaller iPhone in 2022, and let's talk about what you need to know and the relevant iPhones that you should actually buy. So I do not recommend buying an iPhone 6s or anything below that because those phones will not be getting iOS 16. All of these phones you see here will be getting iOS 16. We have the iPhone 7, the iPhone 8, the 13, and I had the 12 mini. I sold it to get the 13 mini, but that will obviously be getting iOS 16. And then we had the SE 2020 as well. So these are, I would consider, the relevant smaller iPhones. So the reason why there is such a big market, or a lot of people at least asking me about these smaller phones, is that if you look, your average phone size is going to be like 6.8 to 6.7 inches. So just the Galaxy S21 Ultra, for example, just look how much screen I have left right there. I can fit the whole phone into the screen, and I still have so much space left over. So phones are pretty massive these days, and the good thing about these smaller iPhones is that they're very easy to hold in one hand. So if you ever notice, like if you have a big phone, you kind of have to like two-hand it if you have smaller hands, or you end up like shimmying the phone a lot like that, and it's not the most comfortable experience. But with these phones, they're very easy to one hand, and they're very comfortable, and they're not as heavy as like the bigger phones. So that is one thing that I really like, and I think the 13 mini is probably my favorite size, and also the 12 mini is the same size. If you guys look, it's actually not as long as the older iPhone body styles. So as you guys can see that. It's a little bit thicker, but it actually doesn't feel any heavier as well too. So that is one thing that I really like, just being able to hold these phones in one hand and sort of like use them in a comfortable way. Also, let's go ahead and talk about the prices of these phones and which one should you get. If you're looking for an iPhone with the Touch ID, I would highly recommend going for the SE 2020. It's got the Apple A13 chip, and it's a very fast phone. It still gives you flagship like quality performance for $300. I picked one up refurbished, $300. It's going to give you amazing performance. It really does not miss a beat as far as opening applications. This thing really doesn't stutter. It is a very fast phone, shockingly fast if you're coming from an older iPhone with that A13 chip. Now the iPhone 7 I still think is one of my favorite $100 phones. This is, if you go on eBay, you can get it for $100. If you don't want to go on eBay, you can go on Amazon for like $125. These phones are awesome for $100 on unlocked. They still do pretty much anything you really need them to do as far as a casual user's perspective. So if you just need an iPhone to iMessage, FaceTime, play some casual games here and there, these phones are still very capable. Or if you have an Android and you just need an iPhone again to do all that stuff, so you just need a secondary phone, maybe for FaceTime or something like that, then this is a good cheap option. So I actually really like this phone, and also will be getting iOS 16 as well. The iPhone 8 is still a pretty good phone. It's got a much better chipset than the 7, but it comes in at $200, so it sort of rivals the SE 2020. So I would say, if you were thinking about getting, if you just really want an iPhone with, small phone with the Touch ID home button, I would say save the extra $100 and get the SE 2020. It's a much better phone as far as speed and as far as longevity, and being able to get software updates for more years, because this phone, like I said, blazing fast. Also, if you're a gamer, this phone will be phenomenal at gaming. It's much better than this phone. Yeah, so I would say save the extra $100, and I would say if you're on the low end, just go for the 7, because 9 times out of 10 you're not going to be doing anything too crazy on your phone anyway. Now, for those of you guys asking what is the best deal overall right here for the smallest iPhone, and it actually will be the 12 mini. In my opinion, I think the 12 mini is the best for the money right now. If you pick up a 12 mini for this $524, like this phone, I got it refurbished for like $600, but the price came down so much that it's just an awesome deal, especially compared to the 13 mini. Now that I have the 13 mini, it's not too much that the 12 mini can't do, especially like at the price point. The phones are really just super similar. The 13 mini really just has those bigger cameras, so it takes slightly better photos, but it's not really that much faster. It doesn't really do anything significantly better than the the 13 mini. So they're kind of like the same phone. They just kind of shrunk the notch and put a faster chip, but for the normal person, they're not going to really notice that anyway. Yeah, so I think the 12 mini is definitely probably the best buy in the bunch. Now, as far as displays, these phones are very small. So like I said, they're easy to reach. Now, the smallest of the bunch, if you want the absolute smallest screen, is going to be the phones with the older body style, the iPhone 7, 8, and SE 2020. These have 4.7-inch displays. And you can see they're just a little bit smaller than the 13 mini and the 12 minis display. But again, I like the 13 minis display because I think these phones are actually a little bit too small for people that watch videos. I think you'll like this more, edge to edge screen to body ratio a little bit more. And also the 12 mini and 13 mini, they have OLED displays. So as you can see, if I crank like the brightness up, or you can see it's all the way up, and if I crank the brightness up on here, you can see it's significantly brighter than these IPS panels. So that's also one thing to take into consideration. The OLED panels on here are just so much better, just way more color accurate, and I absolutely love the displays on the newer iPhones here. Now, as far as gaming performance, I actually really love gaming on these smaller phones. I actually think they're more comfortable to game on to me. Obviously, the 13 mini and 12 mini are going to do the much better job here as far as gaming performance. You can play games pretty much maxed out, so you have a really great time here. But if you're really on a budget and you want to game, you're really going to be actually going for the iPhone SE 2020. Like I said, this phone has the Apple A13 chip, and I can play at the same exact settings as a 12 mini and 13 mini. So you're just going to get phenomenal gaming performance on this phone. So that is why I really like this phone. So again, on a budget, you would definitely go for the SE 2020. Now the iPhone 8 and iPhone 7, they play games fine, but I really wouldn't I can't talk. I really wouldn't recommend them for as far as like, gaming, like hardcore gaming, stuff like that. It does fine casual, but it's not going to give you that performance that you're probably looking for. But they can play games casually just fine. As you can see on low settings, it works perfectly fine, so it's not a issue. And I also have gaming tests on all of these phones if you guys want to check those out as well. But that is what I think for gaming. Now, you guys will be surprised at how well these older iPhones, and I mean all of them, take photos really great. The iPhone 7 obviously is going to be the weaker one here, but I was even impressed with the iPhone 7 image quality. As far as like $100 phone, and the video quality beats any budget phone in that range, $100, even $150 to $200. I still think it's very competitive video in good lighting. And as far, of course, you're going to get the 12 mini and 13 mini if you want the absolute best, because the only thing that really holds these older iPhones back is really the lack of a ultra wide camera, which the 13 mini and 12 mini have. And these phones just overall take crazy flagship quality photos. So if you want the absolute best, you would go with these phones. But the older iPhones, check out my comparisons. I did a camera comparison with these phones. They do an awesome job still, holding their weight as far as image quality goes. So I would say in order, it would be the 13 mini first, 12 mini, the SE 2020 takes the third best, then the 8, then the 7 as far as image quality goes. Yeah, so they all take really great photos, so it's actually pretty surprising. I compared most of them to like the newer iPhones, and they did an awesome job. A lot of people were pretty shocked in those videos. Now, there is a few things to note about battery life. Is that the 13 mini is going to give you the overall best battery life. It does have very good battery life for a smaller phone. It's actually pretty amazing. Now, pretty much the rest of them, including the 12 mini, they just kind of have average battery life for an older phone, and it doesn't really matter the battery health. Like, yeah, if you have lower battery health, you're gonna get worse battery life. But if you just put 100 battery health on the 7, 8, and the SE 2020, you're still gonna get around that 4 hours of screen on time. And depending on how hard you use it, like if you're gaming, you will get significantly less. So that is the only thing about buying these smaller phones. That's for pretty much any small phone in general. They just sort of suffer battery life. But that is pretty much it. Be sure to let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you guys in the next one.